I'm overwhelmed. I can't keep up with this shit. Everything is changing every single day I wake up.
The Lord is my light and my salvation. Of whom shall I man fear? Really and truly, Lord Rankin says no one. Yeah, though I walk through the valley,
Nunca tenha medo, tchiquindinha, tchiquindim. O seu inimigo, tchiquindinha, tchiquindim. Quando não é você que começa a brigar, também nunca ande de cabeça baixa, bem danado.
It started with your armpits, but now
Tulski, Rhythm Challenge, Diseases, Mad, Mad, Mad. Here we go.
ايش اللي صار يا حبيبي؟ خلينا ننقل صوتك، خلينا ننقل صوتك. ليش بتبكي يا حبيبي؟
ببكي انا شرد اولادي جوزي بناتي كله
Just take off your shoes. Just take off your shoes. You've nothing left to lose. Just take off your shoes.
The shoes stay on my feet.
Creative Scotland faced backlash after announcing they would need to close the open fund for individuals due to budget uncertainties. The decision comes after Scottish Government refused to confirm the release of £6.6 million worth of funds.
Yes, that is.
So you can like set things up and then just like
what he's talking about is precisely this mechanism where, most people hold these left of centre views, but they think they have no traction because nobody else has that view either. And how does this work? Well, not just by direct manipulation of public opinion, but it's by manipulation of the representation of public opinion. Another book important on that is from a few years ago, Nick Davis's book Flat Earth News, a shocking book really about the extent to which media is controlled by PR now. In the UK, 60% of content of so-called serious newspapers, there's a ludicrous description of these papers now, 60% can be traced directly back to PR press releases. This is the environment in which people live. It's one dominated by PR and business, this media environment. Great example from Hind's book. Said in spite of all this, most people are still skeptical about business, even in the US. And the findings showed that when a study came out that showed the majority of Americans distrusted business, how was this reported? Business has a PR problem. So it wasn't that there's actually a fucking problem with business, and that it was that poor old business, with its lack of resources and not much access to the media and all of that kind of thing, had not got its message across strong enough. So I think that we can learn the lessons of neoliberalism. How did it work? Well, it didn't believe in openness of people. It believed in dogmatism, dogmatic kind of repetition, and it succeeded in pushing that.
Buenos dias. Good morning. What a full house of returnees. Welcome. Aaron, Apion. Rocky vibrations, higher, what if ex-fam. Good to be back. Bonnie Prince Bob. Kit Kats. Relinquishing my lurker status. Can we just get an audio level? Presumably you can hear me. Yeah, turn this down. Happy New Year, Raj one. My New Year resolution to get out my scratcher earlier, now bearing fruit. Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning to you, Raj one. It's nice to see the old faces, the old names. We've got a full house, quite a full house here. What is this I've got? A rancid... I can't see what that username is. Oh wait, I see it. A rancid opportunist. Brilliant. I've lost them up. Thanks. Good to see you there. A rancid opportunist. There's many of them. Many of them. Madame Guy, Happy New Year everyone. We're a wee bit late with the New Year, but why not, eh? Matty Ross, Morning Bob and the Bobettes. Fight the power, indeed. That's what we're here. That's what we're here to do. That is what we are here to do. Morning to you, Rona Whiffen. JCP. Hello everybody, good to see you back. Well, right, well, very good. Good to see so many here. Thanks for joining me. I didn't make a big fanfare about returning. I tell you what, I did eat a lot of stuff though over the last few weeks. It's just so easy, isn't it? Just to eat shite. But it's we're done with that now. We're back to healthy living. Back to trying to extend our lives a little bit longer and fuel correctly. Right, anyway, it's 9 minutes past 10. It's Monday, the 13th of January. And this is What the X, the most innovative, dynamic media broadcast. Fat Bob. Right, well, we'll see how long Fat Bob lasts for. I'm not going to deny it. I do feel like Fat Bob right now. Good to have you back. Thank you very much, Macapella. I want to get a Macapella playlist organised for our background music soon, so I'll be messaging you, pal. I'll be tapping you up for beats. Well, I did actually make some notes, but I didn't care what I've done with them. I made some notes about domestic issues. What's this shite that I've written here? That little clip that I played after John Lydon's. Mind John, did Lydon not get? When Leftfield brought that out, it was burning before, wasn't it? And then there was a big controversy or something. I think I remember something about it. I can't remember. Was Mark Fisher, obviously the late great Mark Fisher, opining on the media nadir before it became even more mental in terms of what we've got now. But it's been an interesting few weeks. There's a lot that we could talk about. Raj1 says, sad news from LA. James Wood's mansion is absolutely fine. Oh, did it not burn down? I thought it did burn down. I thought you were being sarcastic. I thought, when I saw James Wood's name there, I thought you were going to... Because he's a right mofo, isn't he? He's been particularly disparaging about Gaza, and then we were supposed to be upset about him because he lost his house. After he said, what was it? He said, kill them all. Hashtag kill them all. Apparently, I've seen some message that there's going to be some type of a ceasefire or something today, potentially. Fingers crossed that that happens. It's not before time. Who knows what's going on over there, but we can only pray that there will be an end to the murdering, although I can't see that happening. But maybe this incessant aerial assault on these innocent people, hopefully that can cease. It just seems to be outrageous what's happened in Gaza. It's a stain. You know what my feelings on this are. I've mentioned it many times. Now, who is... Okay. Right, well, what happened over the weekend was that the Labour guy, Ivor Caplin, is it? Now, see these paedophile stings, right? It's the first time. It's the first time. It's actually like, right, fair play. I've always found, and there's been some good comedy skits kind of mocking the paedophile hunters. I've always got a bit of I'm never very comfortable when you see a lot of these people. I genuinely believe that there's a significant amount of the paedophile hunters are definitely paedophiles themselves, or aspiring paedophiles. I don't have any evidence for this, but there's definitely a section of the paedophile hunter kind of groups of people. First of all, there's the whole notion of that they have to. They create a fictitious target, right? Or rather, they create a fictitious potential victim. So they play the role, and they go on for they do this for weeks, don't they? They kind of spend a long time trying to lure their next victim or target, rather. But they make out like they're a child or something, or an underage person, and then they engage in increasingly more kind of provocative discussion with the person. I just think there's something a bit suspect about that in a lot of these cases, and a lot of the ones that you see, it's clearly folk with like significant mental disabilities and stuff that they kind of snare. I think there's a, there is a lot to be said about this. But Noisy Parker says, poacher turned gamekeeper. Indeed. But at the weekend, it was this guy Ivor Caplin, wasn't it? This ex-Labour guy who was instrumental, I think, in getting Jeremy Corbyn slightly, tarnishing Jeremy Corbyn as a vile anti-Semite because he's part of the Labour Friends of Israel movement or something. And so anyway, the nonce catchers caught him, didn't they? We can go and have, I suppose we could go and have, we can look within reason as much as I want to look within reason. Have you seen this? I noticed Anne-Marie Ward has. Some of you might have seen. I had a discussion with Anne-Marie Ward a few weeks ago, and we put it up on the Patreon. It was a great discussion. She gave me a total education. I found her a fabulous person to talk to. But obviously, her work is involved in recovery, and she's an opposing voice to the government's. We'll play. I can't play it on this just now because I've not got my audio thing, so I'll figure this out. So Anne-Marie Ward is making the case that the drug recovery rooms are likely to be a problem. And I think she's got some really good points about that. I think it's quite possible that may well be the case. Something I don't feel particularly great about is the kind of fanfare enthusiasm that the Scottish Government have towards this. The way that the political class are kind of. I think I saw this tweet. I'll find it. Alison Lewis. Did you give her a bump of DMT? No. A bump of DMT. You can't actually ingest DMT in that way. You have to vaporize. You have to smoke it or inject it. Apparently, that's really the only way. I mean, fuck injecting it. It's mental enough vaporizing it, I mean, Rick Strassman. That's how he did. That's how he conducted all his studies. It was intravenous. But no, we didn't. I didn't give her a bump of DMT, but I did have a great discussion with her. We covered a lot of different subjects. You can watch the full discussion on the Patreon. What is the rancid opportunist saying? Looks like the security services have dirt on most of the politicians. I think so. I think to be a kind of neoliberal bureaucrat and be anywhere near the levers of power, I think it's fair to say that you know, any weird shit that you've done is going to be well known. I don't think there's much privacy for anybody really. I think Snowden made that point. I think they can listen to your phones when your phones aren't even turned on, can they not? So I don't think there's any problem with that. I was going to find this Ivor Caplin thing. So, but the drug consumption thing is taking up a lot of the headlines. Peter Smith, who's a very good reporter and journalist. Is it the same guy? Yeah, this guy's good, Peter Smith. Aye, because he follows me. Now Glasgow has its drug consumption room. But if Scotland is still unable to join the dots with the mental health crisis, access, rehab and housing, all of which are devolved, the most vulnerable drug users may be kept alive, but without much hope of a better life. That's right, yeah, that's right. Raw K Vibrations actually says you actually can swallow it, but you need to ingest an inhibitor before you do. Tried and tested. Very, very true. And that's what the whole vibe with ayahuasca is, which is incredible, really, because what happened was the two what is it? The auto. I can't mind the autoimmune. It's not autoimmune, but I can't mind what it's called. But it's basically to stop your body from breaking it down. And so they've got the one ayahuasca vine that's got the dimethyltryptamine in it, and then the other vine that stops your body from breaking it down too quickly, so you can actually absorb it. And these vines, they kind of just look the same. And in the area of jungle where they were traditionally used, there's like tens of thousands of species of plant species that just look exactly the same. I think Terence McKenna said that when they were down there in La Chera in the sort of early 70s, and they asked the shamans, they said, how did you know? How could you possibly have known to combine these two vines? It seems improbable, impossible. And the shamans said, the plants told us. MAO inhibitor, that's it, yeah, MAO inhibitor. Glue sniffing needs to make a comeback. Anything else that we think should make a comeback? I mean, let's face it, racism's on the rise, so I guess glue sniffing can't be far behind, right? The two tend to go fucking hand in hand. We should all get some DMT and head up to the consumption room. Now, I'll tell you what, right? See if the consumption room... This is not the worst idea. I didn't thought about this, right? You want to stop people from taking hard drugs. DMT is probably a good place to start. I think that... The plants speak to them. They are intelligent. I've got no doubt about this. Good to see you, Mark McGee. You call that radio buzzing Lynx deodorant. Yeah. I did, as a young tearaway, I did have a brief dalliance with gas with some daft Raj pals for about a week. There was about a week where we decided this was a good idea. Thankfully, I decided both of those guys are now unfortunately dead, so probably I obviously made the right decision to part company with these chaps. But aye, this is the things that we do to ourselves in the pursuit of oblivion. Anyway, I was looking for the Ivor Cap. I think it was Ivor Caplin. I've been distracted there a number of times. What's Gavin Bruce saying? This is why we are cringing when we saw people dancing with the police in Germany during the Euros. This is who they really are. Violent state apparatus which serves the ruling classes whenever the call comes. This is true what's happened. Now police attack protesters at Berlin's annual LL demonstration, a major event for communist and socialist groups. Thousands are marching to honour Rosa Luxemburg, Karl Liebknecht and Vladimir Lenin, but violence erupted, leaving several injured. The world appears to be burning. Anyway, so yeah, so this Ivor Caplin guy, that's what I was looking for, wasn't it? Ivor Caplin. So it seemed that from his Twitter account, I did look at. I mean, I saw it. You know, I'm plugged into this thing all the time and whatever. And so I saw it kind of before it kind of went everybody else. No, I'm not saying I saw it before. I seen it before everyone. I did see it quite early though, and I did go and look at his Twitter page. Like, I think like. Before everybody was going on about it, I went and looked at his Twitter page and I was like, right, well, his Twitter's obviously been hacked. Because it was just like pictures of like naked young guys and that, bollock naked and all this kind of like really overt stuff. And you're like, no danger, like this guy's account has been hacked. And I mean, this was a selection of his tweets. The replies, nice, I have a tight hole for you. Yes, please. Make your slut and bottom. Hey, sexy, like you a lot. Are you in London? Great looking cock, when are you free? As I can come to London soon. This was a guy that was previously the defence minister or something, was he not, in the Labour cabinet. How are you doing? Shame you're not in the UK, for it won't be cool to have your cock in my ass. So, I mean, this was like, you would imagine that, and this was the guy here. This was him. And it's basically just the same, every nonce capture video, it's the same vibe, isn't it? They've all got the same expression on their face. You don't even need to hear the audio. It's the same panic, like, you know what I mean, rabbit in the headlights vibe, all of them. His Twitter, and then you could tell, the other thing I thought was quite funny was that, because like, in fact, if you watch the whole video, the police take his phone off him, and you're kind of going like, because you're kind of going like, well, you would have thought that he would have deleted his Twitter or something, but he obviously couldn't because he was in the cells. He was having a long weekend in St Leonard's, so he was obviously unable to get access to his Twitter. I don't know if it's still there, but anyway. It's particularly fucking fucked up, isn't it? You know, it's like it's particularly rank. But and then you've got this other thing as well, where it's like I didn't realise. It's like, who's it from? Who's been the most excited to kind of post this expose? The nonce hunter. It's Nigel Farage, right? Another nonce of sorts, like, you know, who's taken it upon himself to take some like righteous outrage about what's going on, you know. So this is just a further example of the cesspit of our political horror show. But it's interesting, isn't it? That so let's get back to the nitty gritty of it all. It's quite Noisy Parker says, I think Ivor Caplin has an image problem. He should sort that out. I agree. I just thought it was like I didn't like the fact that it sounded a bit like Ivor Cutler. You know what I mean? It's like that's a different matter altogether. But so I think something that was quite worth checking. This is these folk that do all this. What's this stuff? The parkour. Wait a second, I've got some messages here. I've got a... Okay. Who's sent me this? Okay. We'll get back to that. Right, I'll play that video that I've been sent at another stage. It already looks good. So something interesting happened to start 2025 off that I thought was interesting. I thought it was more interesting than what everybody else seemed to be finding significant. So I think it was the 2nd of January. that Elon Musk set the news agenda for the UK. And I think what we are now, we're on the 13th, and we're probably still experiencing that. We're probably still experiencing. We've woke up to a new era, and I think it's really interesting. I think this is something that I want to sort of cover a wee bit somehow. I just thought that there's people want to say, right, well, why did Elon Musk start this whole dialogue or bring this whole issue of the Pakistani grooming gangs and rape gangs back into the public consciousness? And there seems to be an interesting sort of degree of discourse about this whole thing. And I think it's worth taking into consideration the different factors that are involved in this, because Musk had got himself in a bit of a situation with what might be called the far right. Certainly, Steve Bannon, who is, I would say that Steve Bannon is a kind of ideologue. Steve Bannon is a pretty nasty guy, pretty dodgy, dangerous guy in some ways. I think. But Bannon was very critical of Musk, and they were critical of Musk on the basis of this H-21B or the immigrant visa. Musk was singing their praises, saying that this is what we need in the country so that we can bring in skilled labour, because obviously the tech industry or whatever, we need all these coders and what have you from the Indian subcontinent or whatever. And the critics were saying, you're talking shite, these visas are used to stick some guy from a third world country in our local 7-Eleven, and we can't get jobs around here. And there's a lot of truth in that. Because there's a lot of I've seen it myself. I've seen it in Jamaica. I've seen it in like this wee local places in Jamaica where you kind of get these predatory employment agencies, and they go around and they'll put like H-1B. That's right. They'll put a big list of jobs, and it's pretty much every job you can think of, from like manicurist to hairdresser to cleaner, to like every kind of just basically manual labour, like sort of lower paid job that you can possibly conceive of. And it's basically, can you do any of these things? They're just looking for a workforce. So then it's obviously like, they get these temporary visa things or whatever, but people are taking a cut out of their wages. So they go to third world countries and they basically offer people like shit wages, but they're already taking a cut of that. So there is a lot of scamming going on. I was aware of this about 10 years ago. When I was in Jamaica 10 years ago, I remember seeing this. I remember talking about it at the time. I've seen a lot of examples of this. But anyway, Musk got himself in this stooshy with the right, with people that are affiliated with the incoming president. And then obviously he started going on. I mean, he is mental. There's no two ways about it. But then he started going on incessantly about the grooming gangs and stuff in Rochdale, because he's got this issue with the UK, with Starmer or whatnot. And he's obviously playing some sort of megalomaniac kind of populist role where I say populist, not populist, I say populist as in kind of like the early, the first kind of like God simulation computer game of the 80s, where you were in control of the board. So I think that there's a lot, who Elon Musk is or isn't is one debate. But the thing that I think is most significant, the thing that kind of has shocked the British establishment and the British media establishment, and it's not even really shocked it. What Musk has done, he's done something that I think is really quite significant. We've basically had a UK media a lazy fourth estate, you know, who have for the best part of the last decade just gone to Twitter and taken all their stories from Twitter, repackaged them and put them back on Twitter, published via their publications, and then they get their clickbait or whatever on the back of that, or they get their click-throughs and everything. But the point is that Twitter has basically, for pretty much now at least a decade, if not longer, been the primary source for a vast majority of media stories. So much stories now, what would be considered a news story, is like somebody said something on Twitter, and that's basically the story, or X, you know. And I think what Musk did on the 2nd of January was pretty much. So I think you can actually say, like, I think it was at the 2nd or 3rd of January, 2nd or 3rd of January when he come out with this thing and kind of utterly shifted the entire narrative and changed the whole way what everybody's talking about. That was the moment where he more or less demonstrated that legacy media is dead. And I think that that's quite significant. I think that prior to that there was a kind of performative thing where maybe it wasn't so overtly the case, but because Musk has got such a sort of desire to control the media and be part of that, you know, sort of instrumental in what media is or perceived as, I think this was a very significant moment. Now, the reasons why he did it, I would argue that definitely the narrative that he was pushing feeds into the furor, the current anti-Muslim narrative, which is terrible, which we've got this happening, and you cannot dispute that this is a big boon to Zionists. This is something that the Zionists are very keen to see happen, because this allows them to continue to dehumanise Palestinians and just generally paint Muslims as kind of like terrible people involved in a terrible culture, and it feeds into a far more nefarious and insidious military agenda in many ways, which Musk is obviously, assimilate to in some ways, although there's lots of evidence that he had different opinions, and then he's met Netanyahu or what have you, and that seems to have changed. But I think for me, as we move forward, there's a term, but as we kind of enter into this new epoch, I think what Musk did there is hugely significant in terms of where he's saying media now exists. And it kind of puts the extant publishers, broadcasters, media organisations and institutions on their toes, because he's basically just making it clear. He's saying, we know that this is the place where all media, news and whatnot is mediated via. And I think that's interesting. And I think somebody probably like the Murdoch empire, Rupert Murdoch and these type of people are probably the most pissed off about this. But anyway, there you go. That's what I was thinking about this whole situation. That this is really much more about a war, which is, and it's not like they haven't been saying it. They've been saying it constantly about the new media and the legacy media. So the question is, like, what are we going to be part of? What are we going to? And information, disinformation. The piece that I played at the start there, that's Fisher's been dead for like 8 years or something, and he was talking about Dan Hines' book and talking about how even, back then there were studies saying that 60% of all UK media stories and newspaper stories can be traced back to press releases. So this is quite an indictment on journalism in general, quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned. But there you go. Let me return shortly. Let me return in a moment.
We've seen recently this young woman, haven't we, who's having sex with 100 men, or she's trying to have sex with 1,000 men, and the normalisation of this work completely desensitised society to violence against women. And it perpetuates the idea that women's consent is a product to purchase. I think that young woman who's currently selling, she's not selling herself physically to the men, but her value as a human being is being rewarded financially for that. So again, it's about money, isn't it? It's about the commodification of everything, including our bodies, like, or what we look like, or our personalities. Like, I've heard people say recently, like, your brand, like, as AI starts to take over a lot of the sort of ordinary working and also middle class jobs, that your brand is going to become how you earn a living, your personal brand. You have to establish a personal brand. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is just going to push us even further down a line of just this, like, selling yourself.
Absolutely. Mark Fisher described it as mandatory entrepreneurship, and that's what he basically described it. This is what we were moving into, and once again, very, very prophetic words from the late social critic. I am here. She is spot on. Yeah, she is spot on, and I think it's an interesting thing as well. Where we've got here's a question: if this Bonnie Blue or this other girl, this Lily Phillips, if these two ladies were American and they were doing this stuff in America, this sleeping with 1,000 men for their OnlyFans, or doing this kind of stuff, would it be as kind of like, arresting to our British sensibilities, or would we just dismiss it as kind of just something to expect from the land of the free? If they were American, do you think that it would be as much of an issue? I'm not sure that it would, and I think that this perhaps is indicative of where we're moving as a culture, as a homogenised kind of global media culture, exploitative culture, the normalisation of selling yourself, capital's ever more sort of pernicious reach into the individual. I had this kind of concept, at post-COVID, the notion that we were moving to what I was calling the static consumer. Where they had kind of got this idea where you have no, you're to perhaps reduce what they would even argue would be like your carbon footprint. Is like, the capital kind of wants the consumer fixed in the one location, i.e. in your house, plugged into your system, consuming via it, having Deliveroo bring you your high calorific pizza to the door, cheap crap, nutritionally void nonsense, to then be on your subscription economy, on your Netflix and your whatever devices and everything, permanently plugged in there. But also as a unit of production, so it's like you would be downstairs maybe consuming and paying for consumption, but upstairs your teenage daughter is selling herself on the internet to your next door neighbour probably, or something. Do you know what I mean? It's all very dark, the whole notion of the control over our lives and the normalisation of certain activity. I mean, capital's already extracting a profit from traditionally the space between you making a sandwich and eating a fucking sandwich. Now it's like somebody has to bring that. Somebody brings that sandwich like to you, you know, and you go, "I ain't bother, mate. Here's a tip. Here's a tip. You fucking lazy fuck." Like, you know what I mean? It's like what you can't make a sandwich, you know. But this is all cool because there's like adverts for like, get the sandwich guy to bring you your sandwich. It's like, that's no good, you know. But this is where we're at. But it's the same system that says, get upstairs and, you know, take off your clothes and sell pictures, you know, do ever more crazy shit, film it, sell it to who, you know. Aye, that's totally cool. It's like, what's going on? I don't know. It's just like mental. But I don't know whether the I don't know whether if those posh sort of lassies would be, people would raise their eyebrows as much if they were American. I'm not sure. What do you think? So there is talk of a ceasefire. I hope that there is. I really hope that there is. I think we're all mentally just totally and utterly done in by the whole thing. Most people they just can't deal with it, and I totally understand that. How are you supposed to deal with it? Like, you know. What's David Graham Scott saying? My award-winning nature documentary on the life of a North Highland isopod. They are mental slaters, aren't they? They are the weirdest things. Quite a Scottish thing, like, you know. It's all get rich quick schemes. Aye. Here's what we go. Anyway, so something I thought was quite interesting was the, and this is something that I should touch upon as well, is the kind of moral hypocrisies. Now, a few people over the Christmas break, I had a few kind of, I don't know if I would call them spats, but there was a few moments. I think I had a pop at Susan Dalgetty, and Susan, there's not much creativity in selling your body and soul, no. Ian says, if I could make money from my starfish, I would. Well, you didn't care unless you try. Try, Ian. Is that a Masonic lodge? I tell you what. If you are a Mason, surely you've got some inside information on that anyway. So Susan Dalgetty, I can't mind exactly what the exchange was, because it was a few weeks ago now. It was a couple of weeks ago or something. Time flies. Time flies, doesn't it? But Susan Dalgetty is a kind of columnist, and I think that what happened was that a lot of these, what I noticed was a lot of people became very quick to become incredibly whipped up by the whole kind of grooming gangs thing. And let's make something clear as well, right? I did put a clip up of that woman from TikTok. I don't know, she sounds like she's from the sort of the Edinburgh area or whatever. She's definitely got an East Coast vibe. But she was basically going like, see all yous like Lawrence Foxes and all you types that have suddenly become incensed and outraged about the abuses that happen to these young girls. And this I think this pretty much goes across the board for the sort of faux outrage cohort. It's true. It's true. It's like let's just be honest. It's like these people, they don't give a fuck about grooming gangs. They don't give a fuck about working class exploited lasses in the northeast of England or wherever they were. They don't care. It's all about political opportunism, and it's all about using that as collateral or capital to score points off their perceived enemies. Now, I think that's pretty vulgar, because the idea that these folk really gave a toss, even Elon Musk, like the idea that these people really care, this is ridiculous. But nevertheless, we saw everybody whipped, and it's still continuing. So suddenly everybody is kind of like feigning to be outraged, and a lot of the people. For example, Susan Dalgetty. From looking at her tweets and stuff. Now, some friends of mine or whatever, they respect Susan Dalgetty's position because of her position on gender, the issue with gender, trans stuff, all this kind of thing. This is a very flamboyant issue, not a very flammable, can be flamboyant, but a sort of flammable issue. And so the thing is that Susan Dalgetty, for example, has more or less, from when I look at some of her output, it's kind of quasi-Zionist. It's almost like a kind of like in defence of the Zionist operation. And I personally, I'm ideologically opposed to that. I find that totally unacceptable. I don't think that the response from Israel to whatever happened on October the 7th is disproportionate. There's not a person on planet Earth with a rational mind would suggest otherwise. So anybody upholding a particularly pro-Israel position at this point, one has to wonder why that is the case. Why would you do that? So my point is this: if you're a member of the salaried commentariat, right, if you get paid to publish your opinion pieces in newspapers or online or otherwise, and you're getting paid and you're getting given airtime, if you like, in respect to that, and you've got something to say, and you want to moralise and you want to tell me that I should be concerned about the things that you think are morally reprehensible, yet you are defending the most immoral, sadistic, satanic motherfuckers that have fucking existed in our living existence, right? I'm sorry, I'm not really interested in your opinion. It's difficult for me to particularly be interested in the opinions of people who are paid to have them anyway. I'm very discerning when it comes to that. But I'm certainly not going to be interested in the moral disposition of somebody who defends Zionists. Now, that's pretty much it. I don't really know what else we're supposed to say. The estimates of people that have been murdered in Gaza, like serious, sensible estimates, are kind of north of 300,000 at the minute. Right, it's an eradication. How many dead kids do you need to see? How many brutalised, traumatised people? How many kids have survived and they've got fucking no limbs or the rest of it? How many are now dying of dysentery, of cold, of hunger, of starvation? The crime of Gaza is a blot on our collective consciousness as human beings. It's a disgrace, it's disgusting. There is nothing defensible about it. And the silence, the general silence that's occurred. I put a thing up on, actually I put it up on X as well, didn't I? I thought it was interesting, the juxtaposition of those two images, because we remember a few years ago, we had an absolute outrage over this particular issue. We had this little toddler, I think it was in Turkey, and it had washed up on the shore of some migrants. And then this child here, which everybody saw, or a lot of people maybe saw, when they went into one of the camps, there was some footage emerged. And the snipers had obviously just been shooting people. They'd just been shooting children, men, women. There were people half alive up an alleyway and stuff. Just a total assault on innocence. And where's the outrage for this child that's now dead, that's been assassinated? Who assassinates children? What kind of people assassinate children? And the people that assassinate children are being defended, and the people that go out in the rain and the wind and the cold on a Saturday and march wherever they are up and down the country are condescended and patronised and dismissed. Yeah, I've been on these marches. Yeah, they are. A lot of them are middle class peaceniks and all the rest of it. But more power to them, respect to them, right? I don't think that everything in the way that these anti-Israel, pro-Palestine organised protests are put together, I don't think that they're connecting in many ways. But how far, where's our common humanity at this point? So I really do hope that there is a ceasefire today. I hope that there is. I hope that that's news that comes through, and we can start to ask ourselves some serious questions about who we're actually talking for. But I'm not interested in these moral hypocrisies. I'm really not interested in it. And I don't care how. Again, the J.K. Rowling thing. I've had a few pops at J.K. Rowling and all the rest of it. It's the moral hypocrisy. You're overtly avoiding the immediate issue, the biggest issue right now. When we have a natural disaster, we've got the LA fires, you get a volcano, you get a fucking hurricane, you get a tsunami, people get made homeless, people die, people need food, water, all the rest of it. Everybody all of a sudden, there's appeals from the Red Cross, we need to do this. This is a man-made disaster beyond anything that nature could fucking create. And everybody's just like, aye, we just ignore that. We didn't bother about that, Anyway, local news, the doghouse is shutting down. This was the sort of a booze relief that kind of became a bit symbolic of gentrification. And the sort of ironic sign of it saying "nae bams," "nae bams" in the window after the Leith has been, the attempts to cleanse Leith of bams has been quite significant. But there was a few strange exchanges to do with that as well at the weekend, but I can't really be bothered with that. There seems to be. I noticed that Alex Salmon's wife, his widow, had put a statement out yesterday. I think it is quite significant. This is a good point that Arpignon makes here, and I think it's a really important point to make, right? And he says, "I'm with the boy in the dress whose red line is genocide," and I think that's an interesting thing to make. The point is like, in fact, let's look at this thing with this Jim Spence thing or whatever. Did I see it there? I don't know if I saw it. You have this kind of nascent kind of like we've got this kind of like hubristic anti-left kind of rhetoric that's kind of appeared as Musk comes in, Trump is coming in. There's these kind of opportunists who have kind of hitched their wagon to this this kind of anti-woke crusade, and it's quite interesting because they're kind of late to the party. They're totally late to the party. This debate is almost kind of finished in many respects, and I think what Arpignon's saying there, I'm with the guy in the dress whose red line is genocide. I think a lot of those young activist types or whatnot who have been kind of seduced by the identity politics sort of approach to identity politics or whatever over the last decade or so. I think the genocide has put a line under that, and a lot of them have recognised. Let me just check this here. A lot of them have recognised how this is the significant issue. This is the issue that they should be protesting against and coalescing around. And whatever the arguments are about where the left is or there isn't, or is there any left, I think that a position of anti-imperialism and anti-war and anti-genocide is a pretty decent place to start morally, and that's what I would be suggesting that we try and get behind. I'm slavering now. I'm whittering on because my music's run out. Right, listen. I'm actually going to give me 1 secondo. I have very much enjoyed this morning's brief return to Xing, and I must say I'm very encouraged by the amount of people who have joined us. There's been quite a significant. I didn't check on X here. What have I got here? I've lost my place. It's not the first time that's happened, is it? Where is it? So please like and subscribe and all of that gubbins. If you join the Patreon, you can watch the full discussion with Anne-Marie Ward, which is worth watching in my opinion. And I just it's 1 minute to 11, and I just found my notes with all the things that I wanted to talk about, and I don't think I've spoken about any of them, so that's good. I'll come back and talk about them another time. I'm going to go. Thanks for joining me. I'm gonna leave with this track. It's Dean Kavanagh put me on this track last week called Hot Butterfly by Bionic Boogie. It's an early Luther Vandross vibe, which is totally happening. In fact, it's fucking brilliant. So I'll see you all later. Thanks for joining me. A wee bit of an unorganised entry at the start of the week, but yeah, let's pray for a ceasefire today. I hope everybody has an enjoyable Monday, and I'll be back here on Wednesday morning. at 10 o'clock. So see you later. Take care.
We had just begun, we let it slide on by. We had an alibi. All our memories are burning in time, like a bittersweet perfume. Can you tell me how a love that's so fine could have climaxed in a single afternoon? When we were very young, like fluttered by, like a hot butterfly, yeah. On Sean Papillon, we had just begun, we let it slide on by. We had an alibi. Instant romance and the nights of slow goodbyes. It was a time of life when Foxy was a dance, but then you got wise to all my alibis. On Sean with feelings I don't never want to feel. And a love song of surrender and blue. I remember when you took my breath away. Oh, so happy when we were very young, like butterfly, like a hot butterfly. Oh, so happy we had just begun.